that we're doing this live or anything?
Nope.
Okay. Just do it.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Surprise book club.
Thousands of viewers.
It's not that anybody's waiting for this. So we are back for the Bite Size Book Club. We are doing today Firestarter by Stephen King. As most of you know, all 3 or 4 of you, we are doing Stephen King in publication order. So we have done 7 or 8 now.
Yeah, decent amount.
Something like that, right? Knocking some of these out. So we are on Firestarter.
I've liked 2 of them, so really great
we're
odds
getting
so
there.
far.
We're getting there. It's 30%. So, so we're doing Firestarter. So what did everybody think of the book?
I actually liked this one.
I did not like this one.
Oh, good. We have dissenting opinions.
I felt like, well, first, did you like it? Dislike it? How did you feel?
I didn't dislike the book. It wasn't the best Stephen King book I've ever read, but I'm starting to feel progression. So I'm starting to feel like a little bit of progression from the earlier books, which is, I think, a good sign.
Coming right off the heels of Dead Zone, I felt like a lot of this book was kind of the same idea, like normal average Joe gets, these kind of superpowers, things like that. But I felt like the Dead Zone did this better than Firestarter. And I was surprised because I really liked the beginning of Firestarter and the relationship building with the father and the daughter and all of that stuff. And then the second half of this book, I felt a little bit of a sludging to get through.
I thought the
like
middle
that's
was
just
sludging.
Stephen King.
I think it is a little bit. I think there are moments in Stephen King's book, because he's so verbose, that there are points where I'm like, all right, we could have done this quicker. But I think for him, this is such a recurring theme in his writing, where it's the coming of age tale, right? It's the Stand By Me. It's the same thing that we're going to see with it, with all these other things, that I think he really tries to hone in on that. And I think it just got a little muddy in the middle there.
Yeah. Are you saying?
No, I was yawning.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you were going to say something. I felt clearly there were hints of Carrie in this book too.
Sure.
He was still playing with those design ideas a little bit. And I don't know if you guys remember, but my feelings on Carrie were pretty terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I had no, and so in some ways this one was slightly more successful, I think, but making the child so young, she was the best behaved 8-year-old I've ever seen. And just, it felt a little unrealistic. And one of my favorite things when you're kind of doing a book club or reviewing a book is to look at what was going on in the author's life at the time. And he had small kids at home. And I feel that's why I liked the part of the father concept and they can go off at any time.
Yep.
And that whole thing felt more real to me, I guess, than once they had separated and, she was with the terrible guy.
We're also in the range of where he was on cocaine. He was snorting cocaine nonstop. So
Definitely.
You'll feel that in the book, in some of the books as well.
Do you remember I feel like I've read it a while ago now and I should have taken better notes, the book at this point, but do you remember in the book when there's one part and they're talking about how there's women, there's something about them using drugs and then women started to develop tumors or something like that.
Yeah.
Do you think that was a nod towards Dead Zone? Because didn't the guy's mom have all those tumors and all those crazy things? Are these
it could be
existing on the same kind of timeline or a little bit after?
I think it's probably a similar timeline. I was telling Alicia there's a guy out there, and we should plug him. He has a Stephen King book club that he calls Into the Multiverse, and he does... He's doing the same thing, so he's rereading them in chronological order. And then what he does at the end of each of his is explore how it connects to other books.
That's cool.
So it's a pretty good thing. We should kind of watch his before we do ours, and then we could kind of bring up and tag him in some of the things.
That's a really great idea. We should also make a Stephen King map, a graphic visual of where these things are, little spider webs of where they connect.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So we talked about earlier, this kind of is an homage to it starts, Stranger Things is an homage to this.
So cool.
So this kind of was the jumping point for those.
Both of them
Authors.
reference MK Ultra, which was an actual thing.
Yep.
I was also curious if a lot of what I didn't like about the book felt a little tropey of the whole like Firestarter kind of thing. But I have to remind myself that this book was written back in the 70s? Was it
Yeah.
in the 70s
This
still?
is before.
I wasn't sure if this was like still the 70s or if we're
Yeah,
embarking.
still
So this
mid-70s.
is the archetype that everyone else is based on.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that sometimes I forget that when I'm reading it because I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, come on. Like, we've been here, we've done this. But in reality, like,
This was the
He did it.
starting off point.
Yeah. And so I think sometimes with these older books, I have to kind of give them a grain of salt.
I had that in mind with Salem's Lot
Mm-hmm.
because while vampires have gone a lot more palatable than Salem's Lot, like it is one of the first mainstream vampire books. Like,
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember, like, this came out before Interview with a Vampire and all those other
Yeah.
things. This was...
Which is nuts because when
Yeah.
I think of like where the vampire trope started, it is Interview with a Vampire. Like that's
Yeah.
where my brain goes. And that this well, not this book, but that
Yeah.
Stephen King predated that is just kind of mind boggling. So I do think I need to be nicer to these earlier ones. But then again, Stephen King is really not nice to women in these books. And I
He's
have
getting
such
there.
a hard time.
He's progressing as a human
I
being.
have a
We're
really,
getting-
really hard time with
Thinking.
yeah, that too. I have a really hard time with his weird sexual content in these books.
Oh, it gets weirder. So
Yeah, I
just get
know.
used to that. Because those things get weird.
So I have a question. I was reading a bit, like trying to do research, and there's some people who are firmly in the camp that like Charlie was being sexualized in this book.
I don't
And
think
then
so.
there's other people who are like, no, not at all. And like, there's like one interview where Stephen King like touches on it a little bit, and it's almost like it was something that could have been there. Like the one guy could have been a bit of like a pedophile kind of guy.
That one guy read completely as a pedophile to me.
Yeah,
what was
super
it?
creepy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
super creepy. But like, I felt like in Carrie, that was very clear that it was like these were tied to like becoming a woman, all that stuff.
Sure.
I didn't really feel that
I didn't
in
either.
this book.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was a conscious decision on his part to not go there,
Yeah.
which I appreciated. But yeah, I'm a little sick of the whole like super religious mom, like over sexualized like women concept of like all women are terrible.
Well, I think he's writing, I think early on you write what you know, right? So it could be his childhood. It could be different things, the examples that he saw when he was younger.
That's
Because that definitely changes. Obviously, it changes as we move through these books, which is interesting. But
He breaks away from the Madonna and the whore.
yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes back in certain books, but he definitely moves away from.
Yeah. Well, we've talked
those more
about it, but
religious
I don't
concepts.
know if we've ever talked about it like during any of these book clubs. But the one and only Stephen King book I read before we did this was The Outsider, and like, spoiler alert, the protagonist or one of the protagonists and everything in that book is like a powerful woman of color on the spectrum.
She's not written as a person of color.
Oh no, that's right. I
was in
had
the-
already seen the
in-
show,
in
so
the
I was
show.
viewing
Yeah,
her.
she was written as
she was
white,
Written. She
'cause
was written as white.
she's
she was
in-
still on the spectrum though, right? She had. The
Oh,
whole,
she's
like,
definitely
OCD
autistic.
thing.
So
Yeah.
she's
Okay.
in a bunch of different books. So she
Gotcha.
started in like Mr. Mercedes. There's a three book series that came out before The Outsider, which is like Mr. Mercedes, End of Watch, and there's one other one.
Which they reference in The Outsider, like a little bit that she had experience. I'm excited to read those books,
They're good.
but it was just like
They're more
so-
true crime novels.
Sure, that makes sense. And so everything I'd heard about, I mean, it's Stephen King. You hear he's like super woke, like liberal,
Yeah.
like all this stuff. And then that was the first book I read by him, and I was like, oh yeah, this is like on par. And then the next book I read was Carrie, and I was like, what is happening?
50 years
So,
apart.
Yeah, and it's really cool. So it's interesting to see. I do not think that we have crossed a line into like anything yet. There's
No.
definitely still a lot of like.
We're still in the
Do
70s.
we have to
Yeah.
wait till after cocaine for
Yeah,
him to get woke?
So so they say his golden age for like movies and stuff was 75. I think it was like 73 to 84, something like that. That's when it was like Carrie, Cujo, all these things that came out and became just massive books. The Shining, The Stand, and became massive movies. And then after that, I think is when he moved away from like commercial
Mm-hmm.
and moved more into like writing what he wanted to write. So to me, it's really funny. I think he wrote a lot of horror prior to like 1990. And then after 1990, I find him to be very like, it's not horror. It's more like mystery, crime.
I wouldn't even necessarily categorize this as horror. This
No.
for me was more like suspenseful.
Yeah.
There were definitely some like gross moments and things like that, but it for me felt more suspenseful. The book I'm most excited to read, or shorts or whatever, is Shawshank Redemption.
That's
one
a
of my
short
favorite
story.
movies of all time.
So we'll
and I
probably
had no idea it
go
was him.
back and read those as like a collection, because Stand By Me is a short story.
Wait,
The movie Stand By Me?
I didn't know that was a
That's Stephen King.
story by Stephen King.
Yeah, it's amazing. So
I've never seen the movie.
Shawshank's one of those. You've never seen Stand
I've never
By
seen
Me?
Stand By
No.
Me.
My God.
We should do
It's
like
a
a
classic coming of age tale.
I'll
Maybe
have to
we'll
watch
do
that.
We'll do that as a movie.
Yeah.
We'll do
Have it
Stand
in
By
the
Me and
platform or
Shawshank.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool. Shawshank is in my top 3 favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, that's a great one.
I saw
Green Mile.
Shawshank
Green Mile,
once.
Stephen King, which a lot of people forget.
I always forget that
that's Stephen
too,
King,
but
too.
I think those are some of the ones I'm most excited to read.
Yeah.
Um,
Shawshank's only like 60 pages, 70 pages.
so
It's Rita Hayworth in The Shawshank Redemption. So the next, so what other, so let's talk about like other, how did you resonate with like the killer in the book, like the evil corporation and the,
I feel like I've talked a lot. Do you want to go first?
Yeah.
Or-
I mean, kind of similar to the like tropiness, coming off the fact that like in modern media you have a lot of evil organizations right now.
yeah.
Like it did feel very similar to them.
I think that's also
But-
where it feels similar to Stranger Things, where you have like the
Well, Stranger
weird
Things,
government
Umbrella
organization,
Academy.
the LA,
Um,
all those different.
There's like a couple YA novels too that like kind of feed into that a little bit, like Hunger Games and
well, I also
Divergent.
yeah, and then there's one similar to Umbrella Company. I can't think of the name, but like there's those like black
Well,
things
Loki.
yeah,
with the
Yeah.
time agency.
sure.
And then, like, as a teenager, like, I had a whole story with one of those evil organizations at the center of it. So, like, I really like kind of the bucking the evil organization trend. It's one of my favorite
Sure.
weird tropes. So, I think that's probably why I liked this as much as I did, is because I like that.
So I think you'll really like The Institute, which is a very new Stephen King novel. It's like 2018, 2019, something like that. This feels like this feels like a prequel to The Institute, because it's about
Okay.
telekinesis, which obviously like her parents had specific skills.
Very particular set of skills.
I have a very particular when
Is there
Liam
ever a
Neeson
book where
decided not to be an
Charlie
actor.
and what's the kid from Danny meet?
No, Charlie is never heard from again.
Okay,
That's sad.
Although there are
after she went to
Like-
Rolling Stone.
There are some nods to her in like some other books. When I was watching that other guy's podcast, who I promise I will credit him on the next one, he mentioned that they do talk about her burning things down, like a building down in one of the other books. They bring it up, but
Okay.
not
I-
her in particular.
So I had a huge fear of fire when I was younger, which is really funny because I really love setting things on fire. I just had a fear of house fires and accidental fires. Controlled fire is fun and educational.
I like bonfires and
At a
s'mores,
sea
but that's
parks?
about as far as I get.
It's like my favorite IT Crowd episode, where he's like, "She called it your parents died at a sea parks. It's all water and cement."
And they're like building
He builds the whole thing. Moss is like, "You're building it out of mashed potatoes?" He's like, "Yes." At a sea parks?
Is that what starts the fire in their office, or is that a different episode?
No, that's what starts the fire in their office.
Because I love
And he burns his hands.
I love that Moss, like the fire extinguisher catches on fire. Just put this over here with the other fire.
Yep. It's awesome. Meg's got to watch that. We need Meg to watch the IT
I do
Crowd.
like the line, "Put this over here with the other fire." Not even knowing what you're talking about. That's
Nope.
pretty funny.
It's amazing.
I
for
reference that all the time with clients, or I'm just in my head, I'm like, I'm just going to put this over here with the other fire.
Yep.
As far as the corporation goes, I don't mind that, and that was part of the book that I did like. They were like so stupid. It reminded me of like in Star Wars, where the bad guys, they can't hit anything. It's
Yeah.
just like, I don't know, like how you're the
Again,
bad guy.
70s.
Yeah.
It's a simpler time, right? It's not as
Yeah.
complicated with
Bad
technology.
guys can't be good at what they do.
Yeah, well, it's like every Scooby-Doo episode. right?
Exactly. Just like, so that was, again, it's, you're looking back at it, but at the time it probably felt very
Yeah.
new and cool. So that was my only thought with them, is I was like, get it together.
Otherwise, I mean, I didn't hate it. It was a pretty nondescript book for me. I didn't love it, didn't hate it. I got through it.
What did you think about like all of the similes?
Yeah.
Some of those were like my favorite writing in the whole book. And then other times I was like, this is a lot.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's typical King, where he's not a great editor.
But I think he's at his best when he is like building these worlds.
It's
And
character. He is character development. His
he's
characters are
so
amazing.
good at it.
Yeah.
And I felt like a little of that was lacking in this novel. Like I think that's why I didn't like it as
That's
much.
the cocaine.
That's the cocaine.
Definitely the cocaine. Yeah, that's my favorite thing of his writing, and I think that's why I don't like some of the movies sometimes, because he's so good at character development. You almost know what those people look like.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with the newer, like the new super woke versions of it, it's not how the book was written. So, not that I don't like the movies. Some of the movies are real, although the Dark Tower movie is complete utter
never saw
dog
it.
shit. And I love Idris Elba. It's like one of my favorite actors, but he's not the guns. Like it's not how it was written.
Yeah.
So I don't think we need to force those characters into things it's just silly. But that's what to me is like my favorite part of his writing, is that you just know exactly who those people look like. Even I think The Stand did a really good job of that in both iterations of the movie. Like
I've
those
never seen
people.
the movie.
The miniseries is great. Did you watch the new miniseries? With
I want to, but that's on Paramount Plus, right?
it's on whatever the CBS one is.
It's Paramount.
Yeah.
Did I start it? I don't remember.
I think
at
they
this point.
nailed like the characters. Although in the newer one, it's the guy from the True Blood, the bad guy,
I love him.
Eric Northman.
One of the hottest men who's ever walked the
Well,
planet.
I think they now have have the market cornered on Stephen King villains, because he's the Randall Flagg. He's the Man in Black in that, and his brother is Pennywise.
Oh my god!
So like they have the whole Stephen King franchise is the best, and they have other brothers.
I don't think I've seen
so.
it. I felt like I had, but I don't think
You
I
should
did.
watch it. It's
Yeah,
cool.
I
It's
should.
different than the book.
did I
It takes
tell-
it off course.
Jared made you a Plex login.
Oh,
you
that's
gotta
awesome.
download the app so you can see like
Thank
the other
you.
stuff. Sorry, that just
Yeah,
popped
no,
in.
that's
with
awesome.
Watching it.
Yeah, that's great. So anyway, the next Stephen King book in line, I believe, is Cujo, which is not my favorite book, but it was a pretty good movie.
Cujo is about a dog.
It is
Right.
about a very scary dog.
Isn't it like, yeah, it's a big crazy dog. I always, in my brain, I mean, I've never read it and I've never seen the movie, so this will be brand new, but I feel like I've heard some things about it, that it's a big dog. And then is there a car too, or is this a different
That's
movie?
a different book.
Okay.
What was the
Okay.
dog's name in The Stand?
It was not Cujo. It was Charlie, I thought. Wasn't it Charlie?
It was close enough to Cujo
Yeah.
that I was like, oh.
Christine is the car.
Christine, yes.
That's another book. And then there's a really terrible movie called Maximum Overdrive that Stephen King actually directed and produced, which proved that he should not be allowed to do that, because it is awful.
Well, I think a big part of movies and stuff is figuring out like what to put in and what to take out, and we've learned
We all
that's
know
not
that.
exactly
It's not his strong suit.
He's man of many talents. That's not one of them.
It's not. So our next book that we're reading for the book club, we're going to take a 2-book break from Stephen King. Little end of summer break. So the next book we are doing is The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. We'll be doing the book club for that on August 13th. That is a very short book. It's a 2-shit book if you take it into the bathroom with you. It'd be some long
That was
reading,
delightful.
but it's only about 200 pages, I think. It's very short. It might not even be 200. It might be like 150. But so we'll be doing that one, and then the first week of September or after, we will be doing Good Omens
This will be
by
my
Neil Gaiman.
This will be my 4th time reading Good Omens
It's
and
so
my
good.
3rd time doing a book club about it.
After we do Stephen King, we should go back and do gaming because I was having fun doing.
I would love to do gaming.
We will do that.
I've only read like 2 books by him, but
Alicia and I had a good time. We did
American
the first couple
Gods.
we did.
I devoured.
We didn't even do that,
We
did
did
we?
do. We did
We
do
did,
American
have you
Gods.
never read
we
it?
Did,
No, we did.
He did read it. We did Ocean at the End of the Lane.
Yeah, that book was so good.
American
so
Gods
good.
and Good Omens.
So
are the
dark.
2 I've ever read.
We did Neverwhere.
Yep.
Which is one of my all-time favorite books. Neverwhere is my favorite pure gaming book. Good Omens might be my favorite book of all time because I do love. Terry
We should
Pratchett
make for
and
Good
Neil Gaiman
Omens. We
together.
should do one of the ones where like we really do like an intro with a summary and then a solid discussion.
Yeah.
Because when the book club I started in Westchester that I gave something, and then the book club that I run now in Philly, both of those we've done Good Omens. So this will be like my
That's
third
awesome.
time talking about it. I have many feelings and thoughts on all parts of that book.
That's good. We'll do a long one for it.
We did another gaming one.
We should ask Evan if he wants
Thought
to
we
come
did 3.
too, because I think he missed that book club for ours.
Oh yeah.
So
I wonder if is he still reading the Stephen King books or no?
probably, I don't know. He got a girlfriend now.
Oh no! What
I
is he
set him
dating
up
your
with
friend?
a girl from a book club.
Yeah.
I played matchmaker.
Oh, so he has no time to read. He's just having
Well,
sex
that
all
and
the
he
time.
started a whole new. I don't know if he got promoted or just took a different position at work. So I think
It's
he's
missionary.
a little busier, but we should reach out to him because
Yeah.
he joined after that book, and I feel like he mentioned one time that he either has read it or wanted to read it.
Yeah, we'll
so.
get him back in. So if you'd like to join us on our adventure, we will be doing the 4 Agreements in 2
did
weeks.
we do Good Omens? Was that the other book we did with
I don't
Neil
think we did.
Gaiman?
I don't remember doing Good Omens.
I'm gonna have to go
as
back
a
and
book
look.
club. Yeah, we have those.
Yeah.
So join us on August 13th for that. We actually will be doing that one live. We have to get on a better schedule so we don't miss them. And then
I really just like doing surprise pop-up ones.
I know,
we
it
should
is
just
fun.
send out. We should get a text list and just send out a text
Should.
like, "Hey, we're
Hey,
doing it
hey, we're
today."
doing
hey, let's go.
Look what's dropping in your feed.
Boom, boom. And then the beginning of September will be the Good Omens one. Alicia may be away. We might be doing that one remotely. I don't remember what date it is. So it doesn't matter. We'll
Okay.
work it out.
Just
Also,
don't make it.
please
September.
enjoy our new Troy and Abed in the morning mugs. We all have them now since we're complete and utter nerds.
Courtesy of John, my
I saw them-
favorite gift.
I was
ever.
watching Community. I saw an episode where they were
John
using
in the
these and they were the exact mugs. So we got them. So, all right, everyone. Have a great week and we will see you for the next one. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.